My 20 female brother, Mark, 23, has been with his girlfriend, 22, Jane, for a year. She's one of the most passive-aggressive, snarky people you will ever meet. Her middle name is Petty. The thing that caused our family to keep her at arm's length was when she got mad at our mum for accommodating our younger sister's autism and not force-feeding her, as well as allowing her to read at the table, something that calms her down. She got on mum's butt for enabling an entitled brat. Another example was when my mum supported Mark's decision to get the tattoo he'd been saving up for years. Jane called mum to complain that he made the deposit with his hard-earned saved money and had an appointment set. She told mum that she wasn't going to allow this emotional enmeshment anymore and that she's happy to make an appointment for all of us for family therapy as this enmeshment is making her uncomfortable. She has continued to make comments like these, specifically to mum, and it's disgusting how little respect she has for pretty much everyone but herself. She's not been invited to Christmas this year, but Mark is. It's unclear what they're planning to do yet. A few days ago, Jane called me as mum had blocked her. She said she was 3 months pregnant and went on a long rant about the family dynamic. She then asked, "Why don't you all like me?" I laughed out of pure shock and asked if she was serious. She didn't respond, she just said, "I'll call you when you're in a mood to be more mature," and hung up. I told mum about the situation and she's on my side, but Mark is fuming at me for laughing at Jane's question and angry at mum for being on my side. Mum just told him that he needs to talk to Jane about her constant comments and insults and she's expecting an apology. Mark won't talk to me and Jane blocked my number. Am I the idiot for laughing at my brother's girlfriend? Edit, the tattoo has got nothing to do with our mum. It's an octopus up his arm that my brother designed himself. He does art and wants to be a tattoo artist. And Jane blocked me. Count yourself lucky. Not the idiot. It sounds like Jane has consistently shown disrespect to your family, and your laughter was likely a spontaneous reaction to the irony of her asking why no one likes her despite her behaviour. There's no way she doesn't know why unless her memory was wiped. Narcissists don't find anything they say wrong. In her view, your family is in the wrong for not catering to her. And I'm sorry that your brother is so far up her lady bits to realise all the toxic nonsense and insults she keeps spewing your way. She's manipulative and controlling, and I hope your brother can realise it and protect himself and his unborn child. Agree, Jane is a textbook example of narcissistic personality disorder. She believes her thoughts and opinions are the only ones that matter. Until she gets therapy, years of therapy, she'll never change. I feel sorry for your brother. He's going to be dealing with her for the rest of his life. Your family might want to consider an intervention to either convince him to get her into therapy or dump her and fight like heck for total custody of their child, because being raised by someone like her is going to mess them up. I know. I was raised by someone just like that. Yeah, poor brother and his baby. That's an abuser trying to isolate your brother from his friends and family. And succeeding. You guys should have talked with Mark a long time ago to dump this girl. She is a nightmare and now pregnant, it will only get worse. You need to all get together and fix this before it's too late. Speaking of ableism, what's going to happen if their kid has autism or another disability? Is she going to treat them the way she treats your sister? Lord, she needs therapy. This is one of those situations where a manipulative person will go to therapy and learn how to manipulate people better. She's already weaponizing modern mental health terms against the family and brother to try to get what she wants. There may be no way to convince your brother that he's in trouble before the Iron Curtain comes down because he loves her, but you should try to have one calm, loving conversation with him. Either way, test for paternity, just in case Mark is off the hook. I, 50 female, am very ill, and I likely will be entering hospice sometime next year. I just want a final holiday at home. My husband James and I have been married for 3 years, but have been in a romantic relationship for a total of 5 years. Besides my tween daughter Amy, my husband has 3 kids of his own. My daughter is actually biologically my niece, but I adopted her when she was 1 because her biological dad died, and my sister is still sitting in prison today. And Amy will be well into adulthood before she gets a shot at parole. And in everybody else's eyes in this life, and I'd like to think the next, Amy is my daughter. For a while I thought that James would be yet another example of how biology doesn't make a parent. I thought we were a family and he was completely devoted to me and Amy, just as I was to his kids. We spoke of adoption, and the first time we spoke of it was 2 years ago. Then I began to get sick and this fell by the wayside. Then 2 months ago I found out that James had a one-night stand with a co-worker 4 years ago. We were having a rough patch and hadn't been sleeping together, true, but he blamed it on being intoxicated. She later quit without notice, but she decided to find me online and expose him after they wouldn't take her back to the restaurant. I felt James was hiding something after storming off from our fights. Now I'm dying and find myself stuck in therapy with this. He claims he hasn't cheated since, and I don't have that suspicion after that period, but I don't know what to think anymore. He begged me not to divorce, if only so he could take care of me and also for his health insurance. But now all he's doing is agonizing about adopting Amy. But all I'm thinking about is he had this one-night stand, but there must have been flirting beforehand. And he was the one in a relationship, so he should have had impulse control and respect for his partner. I don't like what that says about his character and feel he isn't as sorry as he ought to have been. During our conversation, he said he loves Amy and that he admits that he cheated, so he's a cheater. But that mistake doesn't take away his care for Amy and her welfare. He said that he deserved any punishment with regard to our marriage, but I'd be punishing Amy because the state would be here the moment I died. I know that I would have either divorced him or put my energy into therapy. I've spoken with a lawyer and am considering divorcing him because I know that that would have been my first stop if I was still healthy. I don't want to deal with a cheating husband. The fact that he did this makes me worried about whether he'd again let his impulses cloud his better judgment. I'm not sure whether that would extend to allowing an unsuitable partner in because he needs intimacy and nothing else. James is upset and says that my parents are dead and the only relative I have is on welfare with 5 kids, but I want to rescind my offer because I no longer trust him. Am I the idiot? He keeps saying, do this for Amy. If you let Amy go into the system rather than be taken care of by someone who loves her, then you are the idiot for sure. You have every right to be upset and hurt by a cheating idiot. However, you must look past your feelings and do what's best for Amy. You may not be able to trust him to be faithful, but has he given you a single reason why he couldn't take care of Amy? Knowing you won't be around, the fact that he still wants to adopt her says something to me. You would be selfish to leave her fate to the system. Please look past your feelings and do what's right for her. Exactly. OP would rather risk their daughter being bounced between foster homes, being abused, or worse than let her husband, who loves the child, be with her. Yes, good foster homes exist, but the chances of the daughter being placed in one and staying there until adulthood are extremely low. Just because you can't trust him not to cheat doesn't mean you can't trust him to be a good father. And even if you have doubts, what's the alternative? This is incredibly difficult, but think about your daughter. I live in the north. It's super cold, and every single year I make little bags to give to the homeless. I go into the city and do this. The bags include things like gift cards, socks, hot warmers, hats, and ski masks. I'm decently known in the community and also give them to homeless shelters. I make a ton of these each year, and I did this last weekend. Overall, it went really well, but sadly I didn't have enough this year, so I'm making more, around 200 more this week. I babysat on Wednesday, and when my daughter-in-law picked him up, she looked at the bags. She asked if I was trying to increase crime, pointing at the ski masks. I told her it was to help keep them warm. She kept going on about how I was increasing crime and I had enough and told her to get out. She got even more mad about the mask and told me the crimes were on my hands, which is when I told her to get lost. She's angry and my son is angry at me and I'm disgusted. This is how she thinks of people experiencing homelessness. They want an apology or won't come for the holidays. Am I the idiot for losing my temper? Excuse me, what crimes? So the only thing keeping them from committing crimes is the lack of a ski mask that you willingly provide? Her logic is twisted. If someone wants to commit a crime, they will do it whether they have a ski mask or not. Keep helping people, you're doing a good thing. You are not the idiot. Maybe you should tell her you can't babysit anymore because it makes her lazy. Or she shouldn't wear tennis shoes anymore because she might be forced to run a marathon. Or that she shouldn't carry a big purse because she's obviously going to be shoplifting or own knives because she'll be out stabbing people. What a stupid thing to say. Please, don't apologize. The audacity of daughter-in-law. OP, you're a blessing to the community, and your daughter-in-law can screw right off. Imagine if she or her children were ever in that situation. I bet she'd be praying for a mask. While I think it's important for husbands to stand up for their wives in familial situations, this certainly isn't one of them. It's their loss to miss spending time with a caring, giving and loving person. My wife does similar things up here in Canada, People who've never had to try and survive a minus 30°C winter night with no shelter can't possibly understand how appreciated I'm sure your care packages are. Homeless people are just people. Good for you for making an effort to help. Enjoy your quiet Christmas without ignorant opinions. I, female 44, and my husband 44 have been married for 15 years and we have 3 children. A young grammar schooler, a tween and a young teen. We both have good jobs and we don't have money problems, so this is not about how he spends it. My husband always loved outdoor activities. He spends a lot of time doing his activities, which has always been a contentious topic because he tends to lie to me or his boss. It went as far as him pretending to go for a business trip while I discovered he was going skiing. My birthday was 3 weeks ago. He told me he had some important calls at work. I celebrated alone with my kids, but I discovered he was going to the swimming pool instead of being at home with me. I was very mad and sad, and I was trying not to cry while celebrating anyway with my adorable kids. On Monday, he told me he would leave for 3 days to go skiing by himself, starting Thursday. He pretended it was a last-minute decision, but I know he'd booked it for a while without telling me. He told me he was super stressed with his job and needed a break. We're going as a family for a skiing trip in 10 days, when the kids are off school, so it looks to me like he really wants a break from his family. I gave him an ultimatum. If you go by yourself, this is the end of our marriage. I was so mad he would organise such a trip just after my ruined birthday when he was supposed to work on changing the dynamics. He cancelled. He's very mad at me, not talking to me and not going to work to show me how stupid it is to have him stay at home. He could work, this is not a mandatory vacation at his workplace. He accuses me of having him stay just for revenge. Am I the idiot for having him cancel an activity he loves? Edit, on average he has a lot of time for his activities, probably 20 hours per week. When he discusses them adequately with me, there's no problem with him going on solo trips, but probably not as much as he'd like. I do not believe he's a cheater. This is not my problem. Your marital problems are way deeper than a ski trip being cancelled. This isn't really about you being an idiot and not about a ski trip. It sounds like the two of you are on the verge of divorce. I think you need marital counselling or just a straight-up separation. This relationship sounds loveless and unhealthy. Lies, neglect, skipping your birthday, cancelling work as revenge. None of this is okay or indicative of a happy marriage. The time for marriage counselling was before it became this toxic. This marriage may not be salvageable. Occasionally, solo vacations are fine, especially if they have different views of what constitutes a fun time. Leaving her alone with the kids on her birthday because he just had to go swimming is ridiculous. Also, is he really alone on these trips? Perhaps he's accompanied by a companion? All I can think is, what a selfish idiot. It's all about him. Opie, what on earth are you getting from this relationship? It sounds one way. You're clinging to a fantasy of a happy family, but I assure you, your kids feel even more neglected than you do. So don't pretend that this is about the kids. I also tend to think that he's cheating. This kind of crazy selfishness is pretty typical, but that's hardly the point. He's the idiot. You need to reread your letter to see how truly nuts this dynamic is. I love my wife. My issue is that she cannot act professionally at my work events. I work higher up and I'm slowly climbing the ranks. My wife is very introverted and works from home. I get it, it can suck, and sometimes you have to socialize with people you don't really like. My issue is that I have to watch her like a kid. Last year I invited her and I had to beg her not to wear jeans. Finally I got her to wear something nicer, and then when we got to the event I had to ask her to stop glaring at people the whole time. Basic manners were forgotten, and she refused to make any small talk with the people at the table. Instead she played on her phone if I didn't prompt her. It was awful, and my co-workers asked if something was wrong with her after the event. I apologized for her and told everyone she wasn't feeling well. We had a whole argument about it, and she told me she did just fine because she was there. I disagree wholeheartedly. The event is tonight and I plan on going alone. I informed her earlier this week and she hasn't seemed to care until now. She started grilling me about why I didn't want her to go, and I told her it was because she couldn't behave. This started an argument and she thinks I'm a jerk. Not the idiot. While I agree, as an introvert, that I find the holiday office event sometimes annoying, your wife was immature and clearly sulked all evening. She's making her displeasure known to all. Having to beg her not to wear jeans to an office holiday event is ridiculous. So while you tried to accommodate her, not asking her to go, The fact that she insisted on questioning you tells me she already knew that you found her behaviour rude. She wanted to fight over this. I suspect that she doesn't want you to go at all. Hence the last-minute questions and drama. Maybe she's annoyed that you're not bothered by going alone. You are the idiot. She can't behave. What, is she a toddler? You even said she's an introvert. She's awkward in social situations, probably neurodivergent, and her mere presence there is probably her trying her best, which she said. It sounds like she did her best to be there for you, and your response this year is not to invite her because she can't behave. You seem bothered about this somehow harming your career. Just learn to tell your co-workers that your wife is shy and awkward socially, so she might not be the life and soul of the party. Everyone will understand. Oh, I call BS, this from an introvert. I'm sick of people thinking we can't behave in social events. We have a short battery, so we don't glare at people, we don't ignore people, and we don't act like rude people. Yes, she isn't behaving. She can make small talk for an event. This isn't hard. She's acting like a toddler. I don't know why so many people nowadays use introvert as an excuse to be rude or idiots towards others.